Upon hearing the harrowing tales from the horses, the party retreated to their servant suite to discuss their next move. Gribble was startled by the young gnome Tawiti, who was hiding under his blankets, but she came bearing good news. Firstly, rebel rouser Orixian managed to evade capture and is now posing as an officer named Raywong. He killed him and stole his identity, but Orixian doesn't know that officer well, so is nervous about making a mistake. Also, the body is hidden under some rubble that hopefully shouldn't be found for a couple days. Secondly, Tawiti updates that the fiery goblin, Rildilga, is in jail with a 1,200 gold bail. Every other night, though, she can be temporarily released to help the party when Moravi is guarding the solitary area, of which Rildilga was moved to after Dandrick, the senior halfling that Thotham defended, was released from it, and because Rildilga decided to kick an officer interrogating her about the fire at the North Pole. Though the nights Moravi isn't guarding solitary, Rildilga will likely be facing harsh conditions from whatever other boot is stationed there. Let's hope she can hang in. A bit later, Jarvis, the dwarven leader of the striking miners, knocked on the party's door and brought with him a scroll containing a floor plan of Zahmbieu's leadership tower, including information about where all staff will likely be positioned while riding out the sandstorm. The drawn map was given to Jarvis by Gregis, who got it by bribing a jaded housekeeper. Gregis asked Jarvis to pass along the message to the party and to please keep your distance from him, unless Gregis approaches you first. He's under the impression that Rahana and himself might be in trouble, but since the jig is already up, that you all are aligned with the strikers, it's fine to be connecting openly with them. Jarvis, not wanting to just be a delivery man, offered himself up to assist in any way the party can think of, as he's unable to rest worrying about Norish. The party couldn't find a use for him this evening, but outside of being busy on an upcoming picket line and not having many skills beyond being a laborer, he's available for you to use. As the party ventured forth to the leadership tower, amidst the raging wind and harsh conditions of a growing sandstorm, they spotted a large group of individuals throwing and crowding themselves into the canal. It was obvious by the sharpness of the sand in the storm that these people were not going to survive. The party tensely deliberated if there was something you could do, someone you could inform. But if there were such a person, they wouldn't be in the current situation they are in, now would they? Frustrated and seeking answers, they pressed on towards the leadership tower. Thanks to the map, Thotham's assisted strength using ropes upon entry and exit of the tower, Lux's quick work of Lox and Gribble, hunkering himself down to spy on the events of the leadership meeting, the party was able to navigate the tower's rooms and balconies with only a couple faceplants, rope burns, pinched ribs, and sore tailbones. In regards to Kitterine's suite, the party encountered two housekeepers gossiping about Miss Sliverfell's murder. Lux found 3 silver pieces and a photograph of a much younger Kitterine, along with her father at their mini-mansion located in Stillcrest at 500 Boatrider Lane. The photo wasn't intentionally hidden, it just looks like something that fell between the floorboards and was forgotten over time. Lux snuck into the bathroom with Gribble, but accidentally dropped him and Tawiti in mouse form onto the toilet, causing a commotion. The housekeepers were alerted but hesitated, afraid that the noise was from Sliverfell's ghost or her killer. Lux managed to prop the kiddos of the team up and into the vent and escape through the bathroom window. Thotham and Mimith reached out to help Lux leap back onto the balcony, but this long-legged broody Elandrin would not lower herself to such a level, and gracefully swung herself over, making her self-sufficiency loud and clear. In regards to COO Matthias Looseberg's suite and clues found, Tarth with a high history check, which after the fact doesn't make sense, he'd know this due to his backstory, but oops. He was able to identify a painting in Looseberg's office as being Oedipus and the Sphinx, which depicts an old bard's tale about an encounter between a patricidal adventurer named Oedipus and a sphinx who gave him a life-threatening riddle to solve. Looseberg's bedroom was locked and trapped. Lux struggled to get it open, but thankfully her reflexes kept her safe. She pocketed the last poison-tipped needle for herself. The earlier painting turned out to be an awfully elaborate password reminder, as the wall vault in Looseberg's bedroom required the answer to open. Inside the vault was a simple mana-enhanced rune, with a picture of a door etched into it. In the depths of Looseberg's suite lay a dark secret, hidden within the pages of his journal. It was a testament to the madman's mind, a twisted glimpse into the horrors that have been plaguing the many souls in Zahmbieu. In an entry dated Timber the 11th, 8 days before the party's arrival to this cursed company town. Looseberg spoke of an officer showing the early signs of irrational aggression and predicted their inevitable plunge into the murky waters of the canal would happen in a week or two. Based on this timeline, Thotham would be able to consider the possibility this officer was one and the same as the one he encountered during intake into Zahmbieu. Supposedly, the same officer who jumped into the canal during the first town meeting meant to welcome the 10th anniversary to this hellhole. Looseberg's diary dripped with disdain for his fellow administrative peers, boasting an arrogance that knew no bounds, as he clearly looks down on most others as intellectually inferior to himself. He spoke of the desert's delirium, the affliction that had befallen so many in Zahmbieu over many years, including himself, a fact he seemed to be rather proud of. He claims to be in full control of his faculties. That is, of course, save for a few blackouts in which he awoke in a full bathtub with no memory of climbing in. But the most chilling words of all were his regards towards what he calls weaker siblings, those who had succumbed fully to the madness of the desert's delirium. To Looseberg, they were nothing more than stepping stones for his twisted vision of a new superior race consisting of the Greater Mother's chosen awakened ones. As the party read on, they realized with a growing sense of dread that this madness had likely infected the very fabric of this company town and its 100-foot stone walls they all are trapped within. As the entry seems to imply, there are others who are awakened, but lurking in the shadows, not having fully lost their minds, and yet privately organizing to do the Greater Mother's bidding. Looseberg speaks of the delirium as if it's something that is just spontaneously gifted to someone, so at the very least, the party can rule out Looseberg as a culprit of the delirium spreading. A couple lines in particular stood out as potentially important, perhaps enough to make a spine rattle. The first being, quote, "Either the Greater Mother is very thirsty, or perhaps something about the water maybe brings us children closer together with her." End quote. The words could hang in the air like a death sentence. The thought of the Greater Mother, whatever it may be, lurking in the water, watching and waiting only to pull you under her influence and flood the mind with nothing but herself. I don't want to kink shame, but I think we can all agree to make an exception for Matthias Looseberg, right? Anyway, the other thing of potential importance is that he describes a dream of the Greater Mother holding his body in her hand and comparing himself to a mere toothpick as she massaged him into a warm ooze that he compares to returning to the womb. The party would know a few beings that large off the top of their head. And aside from dragons and gods, you can't think of any that are able to wield epic magic, influence, and communicate intelligent thought. It seems the Greater Mother, if real and not just a delusion, is otherworldly, and with Looseberg's obsession with the Feywild, of which has had both people and monsters from their bleeding into our world randomly, perhaps the things are linked.